Buried in the sands of Sudan lies a script no one alive can read. Not Egyptian, not Greek, not Roman. It is older than Latin, more mysterious than hieroglyphs, and it holds the secrets of a black African empire that ruled the Nile. For over 2,000 years, the kingdom of Kush flourished, building pyramids, forging iron, and creating a language so advanced, modern science still struggles to understand it. Who wrote this code? What were they trying to tell us? And why has the world tried so hard to forget them? This is the story of the Meroitic script, Africa's ancient code that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about civilization. It began, like many great archaeological stories, in silence. In 1909, British archaeologist Francis Llewellyn Griffith stood under the burning Sudanese sun, brushing away the dust from an ancient stone at the site of Meroë, once the thriving capital of a Nubian empire. What he uncovered was unlike anything seen before. Inscribed on sandstone, temple walls, and even royal pyramids were strange symbols, loops, slashes, curved lines, dots arranged like writing, but unlike any language then known. Griffith realized he had found something big. Not Greek, not Demotic, not even the Egyptian hieroglyphs used nearby. This was something different. A script entirely African, entirely indigenous, entirely mysterious. He named it the Meroitic script, after the city where it was found. But that was only the beginning of the mystery, because, as of today, over 100 years later, we still cannot read it. Let's start with what we do know. The Meroitic script has two versions, a cursive form used for everyday writing, and a hieroglyphic form used mostly in temples and monumental inscriptions. It has about 23 characters, a mixture of sounds and symbols. In structure, it's an alphabet, not a pictogram system like Egyptian hieroglyphs. And that's what's so frustrating. We can pronounce some of the words. We know what many of the letters sound like, but we don't know what they mean. It's like reading a foreign language phonetically, but having no dictionary. Imagine someone 2,000 years from now being able to pronounce the word freedom, but having no idea what it meant to the people who wrote it. That is where we stand with Meroitic today. So why is it still undeciphered? First, there's no Rosetta Stone for Meroitic. No bilingual inscription in a known language that matches Meroitic word for word. This is how Egyptian hieroglyphs were cracked, with the Greek translation on the Rosetta Stone. For Meroitic, nothing. Second, most of the surviving texts are religious, royal, or funerary. They are formulaic, repetitive. They don't tell stories. They don't describe everyday life. That makes it incredibly hard to guess meanings or identify context clues. And third, and maybe most painfully, the world simply hasn't tried hard enough. Colonial archaeologists extracted artifacts but left their meanings buried. Western scholars called the language primitive, despite its sophisticated structure. And African history was ignored in favor of Egypt, Greece, and Rome. It's not just that the script is hard to read, it's that, for over a century, no one really tried. But this script was not written by ghosts. It came from real people, real rulers, real thinkers. The Meroitic language was the voice of the Meroites, the people of the kingdom of Meroë. They ruled from around 300 BCE to 350 CE, centered in what is now Sudan. During that time, they developed their own writing system, separate from Egyptian, reflecting a unique African worldview. These were not passive receivers of Egyptian culture. They were innovators, builders, creators. They used the script in administration, in law, in religion, on the walls of temples, on the tombs of queens. Yes, queens. Because Meroitic civilization was one of the few ancient societies where women like the Kandaks held enormous power. This language was not just a tool, it was identity, it was sovereignty. And its silence today is not just a linguistic mystery, it's an erasure of African memory. Still, the story is not over. In recent decades, African scholars, archaeologists, and linguists from Sudan and around the world have returned to the Meroitic script with fresh eyes and with purpose. Researchers like Claude Riley have spent years compiling every known inscription. Riley believes the Meroitic language may be linked to Eastern Sudanic languages still spoken in parts of Sudan today, like Nubian or Nara. If he's right, it means the script may not be a dead language. It may still live in songs, in stories, in dialects passed down across centuries. Others are using AI and pattern recognition software to analyze Meroitic texts. In 2021, a research team trained machine learning models to detect recurring structures, hoping to unlock meanings buried in repeated formulas. And Sudanese archaeologists, often overlooked by Western academia, have taken the lead in preserving sites, digitizing inscriptions, and promoting a more African-centered approach to interpretation. The race to decode Meroitic is accelerating, and this time it's being led from within Africa. Here's the real question: what could this script reveal? Could it contain scientific knowledge, astronomy, medicine, architecture lost to time? Could it tell us what Meroitic spirituality truly looked like, what deities they worshipped, and how their beliefs differed from Egypt? Could it reveal political philosophies, trade routes, laws, poetry, names of forgotten kings and queens? And perhaps most hauntingly, could it tell us how this mighty African civilization saw itself? In its own words, because without language, we don't just lose facts, we lose voice, we lose memory, we lose presence. Cracking the Meroitic script isn't just about linguistics, it's about restoring a lost African narrative. Picture this: a black stone tablet, a royal scribe sitting in the temple of Amun, carving symbols into eternity. He is not writing for tourists. He is not writing for conquerors. He is writing for his people, for the gods, for history. And now, 2,000 years later, we are listening. The Meroitic script is a message across time, an African voice frozen in stone, a language waiting to be heard. We may not yet know what it says, but we know this: it matters. Because every letter carved by those hands is a defiance of silence, a challenge to erasure, a reminder that Black civilizations wrote, they recorded, they remembered. And now, we must remember too. The Meroitic script remains the oldest known written language of sub-Saharan Africa and the only major ancient writing system on Earth still undeciphered. Each year, new discoveries emerge, new tombs, new texts, new tools, and with them, a new hope that someday the silence will break, and the voices of Meroë will speak again.